In this video, I'm going to explain the concept of the widget layout and show you how that can be used to control the way that a widget resizes. Now, this code example, I've copied this straight from the official documentation. You can go here to find widget and then look for the set layout method, and you can just copy this example straight from the documentation. Let's compile this and see what happens. Okay, now we see our application interface has been broken up into several different panels. We have two panels on the sides, we have this main panel, and we have the bottom panel. And you'll notice our window is resizable. So let's see what happens when we resize this. You'll notice our different panels are behaving a little bit differently. The left one just sits there, but it stretches with the height. The right one, it stretches with the height too, but it's locked to the right edge. And the bottom one is locked to the bottom edge, but it moves, but it just stays the same relative to the sides. And then the main panel just kind of gets squished in the middle. Well, the way they behave this isn't just automatic. This is defined with their layout. And that's this command right here, set layout. And the arguments here are left, right, top, and bottom. You have an edge mode for each one of those. And the edge mode can be either 0, which means it isn't affected by the edge, or it can be 1, which means it is affected by the edge. So set layout, if we have, for the first parameter, if we set this to 0, then it's not going to be affected by the left edge of the window. If we have it set to 1, then it will be locked to the edge of the window. So we have left, right, top, and bottom. And in that call, either left or right needs to be 1. They can both be 1. One of them can be 1 and the other can be 0. But they can't both be 0 because that doesn't make any sense, because then it's not attached to anything. So again, between left and right, one of those settings can be 1. They can both be 1, and the other can be 0, but one of them has to be the number 1. And same thing with top and bottom. It can be locked to the top, it can be locked to the bottom, it can be locked to both, in which case it'll stretch, but it can't be locked to neither, because that just doesn't have a definition. Okay, so let's look back at this, and let's look at our left panel. So we have the set layout command here, and we're locking it to the left edge because that first parameter is 1. And we set 0 for the second parameter, which means it's not affected by the right edge of the window, right? So as we resize the window, the width of this panel will stay the same size. However, it's locked to the top edge because it has 1 defined here, and it's also locked to the bottom edge. And so that means when the window is resized vertically, the panel will stretch. Again, this is the left panel. Let's look back at the program and see how that behaves. So left is 1, right is 0. That means when I resize this, it just sits there because it's locked to the left side. Right? And then for bottom and top, it's 1 and 1, which means it stretches. On the right panel, we have the opposite here. The bottom and the top, it still stretches. Both of them are locked to that edge, but it has 0 for the first parameter. The first parameter is left, which means the left side of the window, and you'll notice this panel here is not affected by the left side of the window. It's locked to the right side of the window. The main panel, again, it's locked to the bottom and the top. So when I vertically stretch this window, the main panel does resize, but it's also locked to the left and the right. And that means when I resize horizontally, although the side panels stay the same size, the main panel kind of stretches to make up the difference. And the bottom panel, again, it's same concept. It's stretched between the left and the right. Only this time the bottom panel is locked to the bottom edge, but it's not affected by the top edge, which means the bottom panel is maintaining its vertical height when I resize the window, and the main panel is just stretching to make up the difference. So with that simple concept, you can create some really, really complex application interfaces that will stretch appropriately based on the size of the window. But there's another concept here we need to cover. Not only does the widget layout control the way that a widget resizes when the window resizes, it also controls the way that a widget resizes when the DPI scale is changed. Now, our graphical user interface features a resolution independent mode. You can scale the interface for any for a monitor with any DPI scale. And the way we do this is with this command UI set scale. And I'm just going to make a small increase. By default, it's 1, which means 100% scaling. I'm going to make a small increase to increase it to 125% here. And let's see what happens. Now you'll notice the left and the right panels got bigger by 125%, in fact. And the main panel just kind of got squished in the middle. And the bottom panel, it's still the same height, but it's horizontally smaller. So because we increased the scale of the interface, but we did not increase the size of the window. If we increase the size of the window by 125%, then we end up with a relative layout that's all the same proportions as our original program. So what's actually going on here is the left panel, again, it's locked to the left edge, but it increases in size by, it goes up to 125% what its original size was. And so it gets stretched out here to the right. And because it's locked to the bottom and the top, it doesn't change vertical size. The right panel, however, it also increases in size, but it's locked to the right edge and it's not locked to the left edge. So that allows it to stretch out this way. The main panel is locked to all the edges, so he just kind of gets squished in the middle, and that's why he's smaller now. And the bottom panel, again, it's locked to this edge and it's locked to the right edge, and so it gets horizontally squished. So that's how widget layouts control the way that a widget resizes, both when a window is resized and when the DPI scale changes. Let's take one more look at it at the interface with 100% scaling. Okay, that's how it looks normally. Let's go back to 125%. And you see the difference? The left panel increased in size, the right panel increased in size, and these two panels that are locked to both the edges, they got squished in the middle. So that's how widget layouts work.